Okay, in the last two lessons, we did the Mishnah. That was lesson one. Lesson two, we did the Gemara, and we got until Amar of Papa. Today we'll do Amar of Papa, and we'll actually turn the page. So, the Gemara's question was that the Mishnah was talking about a container, and the container originally called Kad, and then in conclusion it said we're talking about a chavis, a barrel. Now, the Gemara then quoted two more Mishnayos that did the same thing. It started with the chavis and then finished with a kad. And then the next one, I'm pointing to it, started with a kad and finished with the chavis. So now we're up to Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa is going to give us the explanation. Why does it do this? It's I don't know if this is considered a letdown, but it gives us a rather simple answer. And the answer is Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa says, Hainu kad, hainu chavis. It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. A kad and the chavis is the same thing. So you're asking, why does the Mishnah do this? It starts with a kad and is talking about and finishes with a chavis. Well, it would be like saying, today, let's say a mug or a cup or something. You could use the same word for both of them. You say pass the cup, and you're referring to the mug. Okay, so a kad and a chavis is the same thing, and that's why the Mishnah is not so careful in saying kad or chavis. Okay. Now, the next piece of Gemara I'm learning the way the Rashba learns it, and I know you might have other ways of learning it. Taisus learns different, but this is one way of learning it, and I like it for a certain reason. Okay, the main thing is that the Gemara ends right here. The question of the Gemara is, why does the Mishnah do this? And the answer we already have, because it doesn't matter, it's the same thing. Okay, now there's a new Gemara. And this Gemara is questioning the whole Gemara that we said before. We went through this whole big deal of it's starting with a kad, starting and finishing with the chavis, or starting with a chavis, finishing with a kad. And we have an answer from Rav Papa. The Gemara says now, Lamai nafkamina. What do you get from this whole discussion? It doesn't matter. What do you get from this whole discussion? Why did we make such a big deal about it? In other words, it's the Gemara which is actually asking on the Gemara before, which is asking on Rav Papa, the Gemara that asked the question, and Rav Papa that gave the answer. Rav Papa's from the later Amoraim, a student of Rava, but nevertheless, there is Amoraim afterwards, and they're asking this question: L'may nafkamina? Why did we go through all of that discussion just to come up with an answer that hainu kad hainu chavis? And the Gemara answers lemekach umemkar. No, we do have a difference. There is a relevant explanation, a relevant difference for why we went through that whole discussion. The fact that hainu kad, hainu chavis, that a kad and chavis is the same thing, there's going to be a halachic difference, and that difference is lemekach umemkar, which means for buying and for selling. Which means if someone wants to buy a chavis, he says, "Sell me a chavis, please," and he makes a kinyan, I guess without seeing it, and it gets delivered to his house, and what shows up is a kad, so he can't return it. If the value is the same, and of course if it's not broken, everything else. So the sale is a done deal. He made a kinyan, and the sale's done. The Gemara now says, "Hey chidami, what is your case? What is the case? How does this work, or what is this like?" Okay, ilema, if you say ba'asra, in a place. Asra means place, like we say in Kaddish, b'chol asar v'asar. So ba'asra, in a place. The kad like karu chavis, that a kad is not called a chavis. A kad is called a kad. V'chavis like karu kada, and a chavis is not called a kad. A chavis is called a chavis. So when the person goes into the store, he says, "Sell me a chavis," and the guy sends to his house a kad. Halai karula. He didn't call for that. He didn't ask for that. That's not what he asked for. So this is really a question. Let's see if I can add that in. That's a question. Halei karula. Sorry, it's in red. It's in blue now. So the Gemara says, "Loi tricha." No, that's not the case. Tricha, it's necessary, and it will be applicable. Deruba, in a place where majority. The word ruba means majority, like roiv. Roiv, the majority of people, karol akada kada, that they call the kad a kad. They call a pitcher a pitcher. Ula chavisa, and a barrel chavisa. They call it a barrel. That's what they call it. In others, there is a clear distinction, and majority of people use that distinction. However, the economy, but there are also there is ikas, there is nami also, which means a minority of people, dekaru lechavisa kada, that they call a chavis a kad, ulakad chavisa, and they call a kad a chavis. In other words, they mix up the terms, and that is the issue here. So mahu the I could have thought zil basaruba, that we would have to go after the majority. So, for example, if the person went into the store and says, I would like to buy a chavis, and he finds that they sold him a kad, so I could have thought that he says, look, majority of people say a chavis is a chavis, so I want my money back. The sale should be done. Okay, so let me go over to the next page. Kamash Malan, it's coming to teach us that you do not go after the majority when it comes to money, which means that even though most people, the majority of people, call a chavis, but this person can say, I'm from the minority and I call a chavis a kad, and I sold you a kad, and it's a done deal. Okay, let's go back to some terminology over here, just for 1 minute. And okay, so the terms that I want to point out are as follows. Let's see if we can center this. The first thing is lamai nafkamina. Lamai nafkamina is to what comes out from it. In other words, for what would this make a difference? Lamai nafkamina is for what would this make a difference? Okay, now there's another term which always, not always, but many times comes three together. It says hechidamim, which means what is the case? And after that, let's say we would create a template of Gemara. We would say, hey chidami, what is the case? Ilaim, if you say this is the case, then we would have a problem with it. The Gemara then says, like tzricha. No, it's necessary to be in a different case. This is like a template of a Gemara. And then it would fit into, you would put the words in. So for example, in our Gemara, we said lamai nafkamina. What was the difference? And then we had, I'm not going to go back to that, but anyway, our Gemara did exactly this. And then the next piece of the Gemara is Ma'u Detema. I could have thought that it's this and that. It would be ... Ma'u Detema. Oops. So Kamash Malan, it's coming to teach me, don't think like that, that it's actually something else. Again, this is a type of terminology. The Gemara is built on templates similar to this, and in different Masechtas that you're going to learn, or different prakim, or different pages, you'll find the same thing, and it's just with different cases, but the template is the same. Okay.